Busy day in the NFL, so let's not waste any time. Adam Thielen is returning home. It's a homecoming for Thielen, who's from Minnesota. The Panthers have agreed to trade him back to the Vikings in a multi-pick swap here. This is for Verts. My name is Harrison Graham. These are the trade details. The Vikings get Adam Thielen, a conditional seventh that could turn into a sixth depending on active game day stuff and time spent on the 53. It'll probably be a seventh, but if something happens, it could turn to a sixth. And a fifth-round pick. The following draft, the Panthers get a fifth in this upcoming draft and then a fourth in 2027, which honestly, that's a pretty good return for Carolina. A 35-year-old rental, clearly, and it was reported that they valued Thielen a lot. Him and Bryce Young had a nice connection. They do have some young receivers that need to get on the field. Coker's a name that's been emerging there. They drafted Tetero, McMillan, obviously the kid out of South Carolina last year, Xavier Legette as well. So I think they're okay shipping him out, considering he's not part of the future, but he could have helped them in the near term. So to make this worthwhile, they needed to get a decent return, and I think they did pull that off. And I think for Minnesota, listen, I think when the Vikings moved on from Thielen a couple of years ago, and add me to this list, I think they kind of thought he was just done. I mean, he looked slow, he couldn't separate, and all of a sudden looks pretty good. I mean, 2 years ago in Bryce Young's rookie year when he was terrible, Thielen still racked up over 1,000 yards. And then last year, he missed some time with an injury, but in 10 games, averaged 12.8 yards per catch. That was his most yards per catch since 2019. So he's got juice left in the tank. It sounds like this will be his final season. We'll see if that changes. But it was clear with Jordan Addison getting suspended for the first 3 games and Jalen Naylor dealing with a hand injury, the Vikings needed to add a receiver, and they have been on the hunt to get one. And they zeroed in on Adam Thielen for a couple of reasons. Why? Well, reason number one, Adam Thielen knows this offense with Kevin O'Connell, so that's a seamless transition. Number two, he has trained with J.J. McCarthy each of the past 2 offseasons. So, even if you trade for an awesome receiver, it still takes time to build up that chemistry. Well, he's gotten some reps with JJ, and he knows the offense. Those are 2 areas that is less of a learning curve for Adam Thielen. So it makes sense for everyone. He was excited about it. His family's excited to be back. So I think that's a win-win for everyone involved. And I think Carolina got a nice little return as well. And look, I think for the Vikings too, it's only 3-game suspension, but these are kind of some big games for Minnesota. At the Bears week 1, Falcons week 2, both those games in prime time, and then Joe Burrow and the Bengals week 3. That's a tough task if Justin Jefferson is the only reliable receiver going into those games. And oh, by the way, he's been dealing with a hamstring injury in the preseason. Should be fine, should be ready to go. But I think they had to add Adam Thielen because, you're going to roll with Jetta and Ty Felton to start the year? I just don't think that was going to be the way to go, especially with J.J. McCarthy making his first NFL start at Soldier Field Monday Night Football. So a bit of a blow there for the Bears, but they still dodged Jordan Addison, obviously. But for Minnesota, had to get another weapon in there, had to get another piece. So they'll get Thielen rolling here, and week 1 is less than 2 weeks away for the Vikings. And after you get to that first 3-week stretch, Thielen can kind of fall into that wide receiver 3 role. And this trio is one of the best in the league on paper. Jetta, Jordan Addison, Adam Thielen. I think if you're a Vikings fan, you're a pretty happy customer this morning when it comes to this weaponry for this season. Who do you guys think wins that week 1 matchup? The line's been shifting. It's going to be close to a pick'em at kickoff. Type MIN for the Minnesota Vikings, CHI for the Chicago Bears. Let us know who wins in week 1. All right, coming up, one team seems to really, really, really want Micah Parsons. Will they be able to make it happen? We'll talk about it here on 4 Verts, plus some other stories as well. But first, we are sponsored by PrizePicks. The best daily fantasy sports app in North America is PrizePicks. Football is back as the true opening weekend of college football is here. The big boys will get going in just about 8 days as well. It's very easy to play PrizePicks as you just pick more or less on stat projections for 2 to 6 player lineups. If you get your lineup right, you can win up to 2,000 times your money. That's right. You can turn $10 into 20,000 with certain lineups. All eyes are on Texas, Ohio State, and I personally like Arch Manning to reach the end zone on a rushing score, so I'm taking more than half a rushing or receiving touchdown. That's a demon pick, which is tougher to hit, but if you do, it increases the payout if you do hit. I paired that with Garrett Nussmeier less on his 279.5 passing yards. LSU against Clemson. That's a good Clemson defense, so I like the less there. 20 to win 90 on this 2-player entry. Get the little boost with the demon pick. Check it out today. Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That is code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Okay. The Packers seem to really want Micah Parsons. Our friend Ricky Scoops a couple of weeks ago said so, and then Rappaport hopped on McAfee and loosely said, yeah, they'd be a team that would certainly want him. And Ricky Scoops doubled down last night with this little scoop. He said the Packers have a trade on the table with the Cowboys for Micah Parsons with a new contract worth $45 million per year. Now, people were like, this is clearly fake because this is tampering. Forget the wording of the tweet. Couple things to note here. Number one, Ricky Scoops has been on fire. Yesterday, Adam Schefter says, yeah, the Thielen thing seems like it's not going to happen. It's trending south. Ricky held firm and said, no, talks have stalled a bit because of trade compensation, but there is still a very good likelihood this will happen. It happened. He's hit on a bunch of other stories as well. And by the way, Ricky is not saying Dallas will trade Micah. He's saying Green Bay has an offer on the table, and people think that because he threw out the number of $45 million per year, that would be tampering. It's like, no, he's probably just been told by somebody that, hey, if they pull a trade off, they're willing to give him $45 million per year. Now, if we find out that they contacted his agent and told him, hey, we'll give your client $45 million per year, yeah, that would be tampering, but don't get caught up in the weeds of the words of the tweet. He doesn't abide by any rules, right? Ricky Scoops, the people's insider on social media, doesn't have to jump through these hoops like Rap Sheet and all these other guys do. This would be a massive thing if Green Bay pulled it off. Now, I don't think they're going to trade him. By the way, again, Ricky is not saying Dallas is going to trade him, but they are clearly in hot pursuit. That is a weakness on Green Bay's roster is the lack of an elite pass rush. They have Rashawn Gary, but a bunch of question marks after that. Micah Parsons solves that problem individually, and if you slide Rashawn Gary into a number 2 role, that makes them pretty dynamic. And from Dallas's standpoint, the opener is 8 days away. Micah Parsons has not practiced. He wants a new contract. Brian Schottenheimer, as we discussed yesterday, remains confident that he will show up and play in the opener, but at some point he's got to show up and at least practice a little if he's going to play a week from tomorrow. I'll say this. I don't think a trade's going to happen. If Micah sits week 1, though, and there's no new deal by early the next week, I think the likelihood increases exponentially, because Dallas would get a haul for Micah Parsons regardless of when the trade would happen. Would you just bite the bullet if you're Jerry Jones and say, you know what, I'll take 2 1s, a 2, and a player for Micah, and we'll just cut our losses here? I could see that happening. I really could. I would still bet against it. I would bet Micah being in Dallas at least for this year, but he seems pretty dug in, and Jerry has gotten pretty stubborn, it seems like, on this one. So if he doesn't play in the opener, maybe they just I'll say this. It'll go one of 2 ways. If he doesn't play in the opener, he will have a contract by the next week, or he will get traded. That is my prediction. One of those 2 things will happen. Should the Cowboys trade Micah? Type Y for yes, type in for no. Look, if they got a massive haul, I wouldn't even blame them for trading him. It's just how we've gotten here. It's the path. It's the way Jerry's handled it. You could talk me into trading him, though, if you're Dallas. Like, I could understand that path, but they have not handled this well, to say the least. All right, lastly here, 2 things, actually. Kyle Hamilton gets a historic deal for safeties. 4-year, $100 million extension, over $100 million. The former first-round pick, already one of the best, yada, 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 gets a major deal. $25.1 million per year. That's what the number's coming in at. So I think it's $100.4 million on that 4-year deal. I mean, that's resetting the market significantly. Kirby Joseph got paid this offseason and topped Antoine Winfield by about $250,000, and Hamilton got an extra $4 million than him. So good for him. Listen, that's a massive contract, but I think safety is one of those positions. Like if I was running a team, I would either want one of like the 5 or 6 best and be willing to pay them this type of money. Kyle Hamilton is worth it. Or I would just go cheap at that position. Like have like a couple mid-tier guys, pay them $5-7 million and allocate resources elsewhere. But when you have a Kyle Hamilton, a chess piece like that, who can play nickel, box, deep safety, you can line them up one-on-one against receivers and tight ends. That's a guy you keep because he's kind of he's almost like a jacked-up Tyrann Mathieu, the way he can play and the different ways you can utilize him. So well-deserved cornerstone piece for that Ravens defense, which is always one of the best in the league. So good for him getting this deal locked in. This is why you subscribe to the channel. When news is flying in, we got you guys covered here on 4 Verts. News, rumors, trade buzz, injuries, contracts. We still got some division previews to work through. We'll sprint through those over the next week and a half or so. So hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications. We got you guys covered. All right, lastly, Rashee Rice has been suspended. He will miss the first 6 games of the season, which is a shift because his court date is in late September. Typically, the league waits until those legal proceedings play through. But the note here, and Tom Pelissero had the initial scoop that the NFL and the NFLPA are working to finalize the settlement, which means he'll be eligible to return Week 7 against the Raiders. The reason this is happening now is the NFL proposed a 10 to 12 game suspension initially, and Rice's team and attorneys fought to make it shorter, and so they have agreed on a 6-game suspension. Let's just start it now and get it out of the way. And if I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm pretty happy with this. I think that's a pretty big win for the Chiefs because not only do you get it down to 6 games, you just get it out of the way, right? Because to me, if he plays 4 or 5 games, you get rolling, then he's gone for 6 to 8, then you come back late in the year, you try to work him back up to speed. If I'm a Chiefs fan, I'm playing for January and February. You know, we'll get by September, October if I'm a fan of this team. And, you know, we'll get him hit the ball rolling late October into November, then so on and so forth. And look, you know, first 2 games going to be tough. Chargers down in Brazil. You've got the Eagles week 2, but Giants is a manageable game. Jags is a manageable game. Like, even if you just win one of those other 4, if you're Kansas City, get to 3-3 on a tough opening 6 games. Then you get Rashee Rice back. I think you're feeling pretty good if you're 3-3 or better through 6. Will the Chiefs get the number 1 seed in the AFC? This could cost them that, no question. Type 1 for yes, type 0 for no. Give us your thoughts on that. And don't forget to subscribe on the way out. We are continuing to pump out content here on 4 Verts. So we got you guys covered, and we'll see you soon.